Alrighty, we are back, and so I just wanted to quickly say that I'm just trying to put together short videos for everybody to follow, so that they're not these long, rambling kind of tirades. I felt it might be a bit more helpful if I put together short format. Um, and Another thing I want to say is I was completely wrong in my last video about how this weapon is held. This is actually an over-the-shoulder kind of cannon. Um, I totally wrong about source material, so I had to go back and kind of acclimate myself to this character, and so I just wanted to go on the record and say that I was completely wrong about that. So, with that being said, um, I wanted this the focus of this video to be like, actually, let's get into the painting now that we've done all the prep work. And that is truly super important because it helps shape what we do and gives us a bit more purpose behind what we're doing, so that we're moving with purpose with our brush and the overall aesthetic that we're looking for. So I've got some Citadel Gorthor Brown. This is my go-to when it comes to brown leather. It's a nice mid-tone. It's a little bit on the lighter side, but it gives me the range that I am looking for when I'm painting, to either go darker or to add some nice highlights to, with some other paints, while still being very much within that earthy, uh, just natural look that I'm going for. So I've shook this up already, so I'll just get that one in my holder, so that I'm good to go. And then the other brown that I will be using, probably not in this video because I'm going to try to keep it short, is this Catachan Flesh. And this is darker, but I wanted to compare them here so that you could see, like, this one's lighter, this one's darker, and these are going to serve different purposes for me. So on these gauntlets, there are a couple of straps that are really nicely sculpted but not painted. I'm going to use that Gorthor Brown and get those painted up. And later I'll be using this Catachan Flesh for something else. But again, I open up my pot of paint, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out some paint that I want. I'm going to move my finger just in case I accidentally were to drop some. I'm going to get that paint right inside my dish that I will be using. And because I've only got literally a couple of straps, I'm not going to be using a ton of this paint. And again, we don't go direct, we dilute down. So we've got our water, and we're in, and we're pulling, and we want to make sure that we get the right consistency. And that is actually just a wee bit light. I want it to be just a scotch heavier. So I'm going to kind of shuffle things around, pull out the excess water, and then I'm going to go directly into the pot. And I'm intentionally going shallow enough that I'm not getting paint into the ferrule. That's going to be enough. Just full dip there. And I go back in the water, and I'm rotating the brush with my thumb so that all pieces of the bristles that came into contact with the paint are now coming in contact with the watered down paint. And when I say watered down, I don't mean like diluted, I mean thinned out, because I want to work with a thickness of paint that's going to comfortably get me where I want to be with the piece that I'm painting. So we're just going to jump right into it. Now, some folks will say, Jeremy, why aren't you priming this piece that you're painting? And that's a fair question. It really is. And the reason that I'm not is because what I'm doing with this figure overall is just doing some accent work. I'm not doing a head to toe repaint. If I were doing a head to toe repaint, I would be way more inclined to do priming. Now, is there anything wrong with a painter who wants to use brush on primer to hit the spots that they want to go over and paint? No, there's nothing wrong with that. I will say that when it comes to acrylic paints, they are very forgiving. Super forgiving as compared to some oil-based paints and sometimes some of the prep that needs to go into that. I'm not going to speak a whole lot on oil painting because my familiarity of painting action figures with oil paint is zero. The only oil paint that I have ever done is directly on canvas that has been gessoed. So there we go. There are a couple of straps on that arm, and I'm going to flip the figure over. And no, I'm not. I'm going to go this way with it. Just real quick to talk about position of the figure and what feels best for you to paint. That part, for me, I don't know if it's intuition, but say for example, I did do it this way, and I don't necessarily know if there would be anything wrong with doing it that way. It just feels, for me, a little bit more unnatural to do it that way. So for me, it was, you saw me flip it once, flip it twice, and this way feels more comfortable. So that's what I'm going to go with. And as a painter, go with what's comfortable. Sometimes there's, guidelines or rules that we follow, but other times it might just be like, hey, you know what? This feels more comfortable, and up to you which way you want to do it. So I'm just getting some paint on these straps. Again, when it came to selecting a brush, I chose a brush that was not super fine, but also not super wide. This one has a nice round tip so that when I'm dipping into my paint, pulling it out, I can get a really nice fine edge without having to have a smaller brush. And as I pull out the line that I'm painting, just making it as long of a stroke as possible, and just kind of touching up one more time, and boom, there we go. Now we've got our straps painted, and with the gloves, I'm actually going to leave those the way they are for now. So with those straps that I wanted to be leather, I'm going to flip this figure over just to see if there was anything else leather strap oriented on the back side of these greaves or shin armor, calf armor. I don't see anything there, so I'm good with that. Now this paint that I have mixed is still going to be helpful for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use this Gorthor Brown, and I'm going to start doing some dry brushing over the utility belt inside here, inside the waist, so as to give it some more definition, some more depth. And I'll also at some point be doing a shade wash over top of that as well. So there we go. We've got the first bits of paint on our figure and plotting out what we're going to do next.